Hello and welcome to another edition of the Formula One Fans UK podcast. I'm Reese and I'm joined today by
Dan,
Danny,
and Tim.
That was smooth.
We got it. We are professionals.
That's it. Nearly a year of this, and we can actually do our names in order. Check us out.
This is what the people come to hear.
What?
And
Danny,
I waited.
Danny on a 10-second delay.
Yeah, that's
Yes, we're all about a sync today because America doesn't know when to change its
Considering the deep south is a good
clocks.
50 years behind, I feel like a 10-second delay isn't that bad.
Yeah, so
we're getting up there.
if one day America will learn how to change its clocks at the same time as the rest of the world,
Oh yeah,
but until
Why was
then, there's
it-
going to be plenty more Formula One races, and we've had a couple already since we last spoke. So to briefly sum up, Dan, in one sentence, tell us about the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Ferraris to lose, pretty much. I think the whole season is theirs to lose.
Okay, that was a
Big.
good preview of the rest of the season. Dan, how about you try and sum up the Bahrain Grand Prix in one sentence? Oh, no, he's actually going to take my advice of drop kicking his child. Listen, disclaimer to say that Formula One Fans UK podcast does not encourage violence of any sort, especially against children.
This is going in the bloopers reel.
If only
Unbelievable.
one day we will have to film one of these so you can see Dan running around his living room chasing after his daughter.
The dog, the daughter.
it's like she has an internal clock. Whenever I'm here recording, she's like, "I gotta make a cameo. I have to make a cameo."
Does she ever watch the races with you?
Yeah, in the mornings. Yeah, she's about the only one.
Well, there we go. We've got another fan who's more knowledgeable than Chris.
Ooh.
Ooh, he's not here to defend himself and we're swinging. Tim,
Yep.
in one sentence, sum up the recent Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
Max and Charles had a great battle to the end. Perez got screwed by the safety car, and everyone is just happy to see that Mick Schumacher is okay.
I really thought you were going to struggle with that. Well done.
I did. I thought we were going for at least 2 minutes. I'm impressed.
We're continuing with our format of diving deep into the topics that are big in Formula One. We're going to start by talking about one of the teams at the moment. Dan,
I am going to start with. I have not done as much research as Danny. I'll put that out there. I have researched as deeply as I need to go to start this topic off for our discussion. But right. So, the last season, or the last year of a season, that Ferrari started this good and won was 2004. And they won the Constructors' Championship with Schumacher. I think this year goes to show how much effort they have been putting in behind the scenes that we've not seen, and I would say this would have been since like 2019, and I genuinely think that they're going to progress faster than Mercedes because they're well behind. They're going to progress faster than Red Bull, and I think from the winter test, not with the winter testing /testing that we had in this year, I think they have really, really, really caught the Red Bull team off guard. And I think if it wasn't for some luck, safety cars, and some ingenuity from the strategy team, I don't think they've got a chance of winning this season. I think it's Ferraris to lose.
yeah, for me, I feel that you're right with Ferraris to lose. I think they've put themselves in a good position. They're in the best shape to be able to develop the car strongly throughout the year because they finished third in the championship and last year, and because of that, they get to have more wind tunnel time than Red Bull and Mercedes.
The Ferrari International Assistance, the FIA.
You do get your extra Ferrari money, which sort of makes up for it because you are Ferrari.
You get a little Bernie bonus.
You get the Bernie bonus, which is all right. But it'll be interesting to see what happens if you are third, if the team that was third keeps jumping up to be a stronger team the next year. It'll be effectively deliberately finishing third is like going into the penultimate corner in Saudi Arabia, just behind so you can just blitz the competition into the next turn one.
I did love that little strategy. It took me a moment to figure out exactly what they were doing. But yeah, like,
it was when they
how good
both
was
locked
that?
up, desperately trying to be last into the final corner. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
But to me, that proves that all the development of this 2022 car must be working if you are purposely trying to be behind a car and not in front of it in a DRS zone.
Well, yeah, they they definitely improved the arrows of the car that allowed this close racing. So the DRS leading up to the second DRS zone was a really good indicator of how you can get behind somebody. If you overtake them, that's okay. The person behind you is going to pull the same move on you up to turn one. So yeah, it was great racing that we saw. For the ones that we did get to see, Alonso Ocon also had great battles in the opening laps, and that was great to see.
Yeah, but see, how good was their coverage for them battling each other and basically ruining each other's race for the sake of
they also
TV
spoke to Otmar, didn't they, during the middle of that battle on the Sky coverage, and he was saying, right, we're going to let them race for a while. And that was great to just hear a team principal have that attitude again.
And that it was brilliant because they got some instant karma, because as soon as they put in team orders, they got overtaken. It's just why you should just let them race, because as soon as they said, no, hold back, and Ocon had to back off, Bottas got him.
I think they know what Alonso done to Hamilton, so they don't really want to give him team orders just yet, because he just stops in pit boxes and doesn't really let anybody through. So I think they're trying to just cover their ass a little bit.
So going back to the original point, which was about Ferrari for this section of the show, do you remember last year when Binotto didn't attend quite a few races in the middle end of the season because they said he was back at the factory? And there were some people that was, even in F1, that were saying, oh, he's feeling the pressure, they're taking him out of the firing line. Absolutely not. If he's been back at the factory developing this car and been at the forefront of what they've done in the background, and that's a brilliant move.
For me, I thought Binotto was not attending races because he does look like the sort of man who would lose his passport quite a lot.
What, his COVID vaccine passport?
Genuine passport. He's got that Mr. Bean sort of vibe. Mr. Bean. Actually, you know Tom Hanks in that film The Terminal? Where he's just,
yeah.
That's what Binotto in an airport strikes me as.
Have we got any more to say on Ferrari?
Yeah, I got more to say on Ferrari.
I have some to say about Ferrari.
Dan, do you want to go first? Because I've had quite a bit so far. So you go for it first, man.
So I guess it's just it's great to see Ferrari. They are a very historic team. They've been from the first season, so it's really great to see them perform. Gets the fans riled up and just brings even more interest into the sport. But going to, you see 2017, 2018, they had great beginnings of the year as well. And for the better part of 2017, they had the better car than Mercedes. So, we've seen the start before from Ferrari. Can they continue it? When is the relationship of Sainz and Leclerc going to maybe bend a little bit? There will be pressure there. It's still improving.
I think that's for me is the big issue is Ferrari's biggest enemy in seasons where they've had a good car has been Ferrari.
100% definitely.
They've messed up. Like 2017 and 2019, they had the best car and they should have won the titles. But they capitulated through poor strategy, poor use of team orders, not knowing when to prioritise a certain driver, and it's cost them. In 2019, if they had just Charles is the man from race one, or whenever Bahrain was that season, that's when they could have really made a push for the title, but they didn't want a number 2 Vettel, which is understandable, 4-time world champion. But now they've got Leclerc and they've got Sainz, and Sainz is, he's my favourite driver, but he reminds me a lot of the Rosbergs, both Keke and Nico, because he won't necessarily set the world alight on track, going wheel to wheel and battling everyone, but he'll be consistent, and his consistency is why I picked him for the title this season, because 23 races is a heck of a long season. I know it's 22 at the moment, but the rumours are that it'll be Qatar coming in and replacing Sochi. And I think Qatar is in Qatar from last season, not Qatar is in Qatar for next season. You know, the good Qatar, where everyone was like, oh, damn, that was actually quite good.
What's on at Losail?
Yeah, Losail.
The motorcycle circuit?
It was surprisingly good.
Losail.
I think everyone forgets that it was actually quite good because it got lost amongst all the mess of
COVID.
He who shall not be named.
Oh yeah, and
it was Alonso. Yeah. Alonso scored a podium in that race.
He did indeed.
Right.
I'm still celebrating.
Still celebrating.
Yeah.
Tim is still celebrating that he forgot Alonso broke down last week or last night or whatever. Whenever you listen
I was told I was not allowed to mention it.
Calm down, big man. You can mention it later. Right. I've got one final thing to say on Ferrari. Right. I've recently viewed from some old footage of Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc in their karting days. Okay. Now, Max is an absolute psycho, like crazy man, off his nut, right? Shouting, screaming. Some call him passionate. I think he's lost the plot. But Leclerc, dead-faced, stone-face. He's a psycho. Max is crazy, but I think Leclerc is I think he's a different breed. I just don't think he's shown his like vicious side yet. I think now he's in a better car, he's definitely going to be pulling some of the shit that Max pulled, I reckon.
Yeah, I gotta agree, but I think also last year Hamilton showed how to beat Max, and that was to get in his head, and Leclerc is already firmly in his head. All you had to do was listen to the team radio in Saudi Arabia. He's screaming.
Rent-free in his head.
He's screaming. He's crossed the white line. He's crossed the white line. He's not. He's put a wheel on the line. He's not crossed it to go into the pit lane. Verstappen was just losing the plot at points last. I mean, he was the better driver. He was brilliant, but
someone that puts cars on top of people's heads can't really moan about a white line. Because if there was a line, this motherfucker's already crossed it.
Can we leave 2021 in the past? Because we're trying to talk about a good...
No, we can't.
We were robbed.
Sainz was robbed, okay?
Sainz was robbed of a win in Abu Dhabi.
That's the consensus agreement.
Sainz was robbed of a win in Abu
Sainz
Dhabi.
was robbed.
Maybe Will Smith slapped Massey. That's where it started.
Oh, you've said the M word.
That was the start.
But let me go back to Leclerc. Leclerc had a flash in 2019 at the Italian Grand Prix where he battled Hamilton pretty hard that day. Got away with it from getting a penalty. You're right. I do believe Leclerc can be aggressive, and we will get to see it.
Yeah, I think we'll see some aggression. Whether that comes from Leclerc, Max, or G.I. Jane.
I will just say this as well. We are completely writing off Mercedes in this discussion. Are we writing them off for the season?
Yeah.
Well, I think
Yeah.
I feel that we're going to be doing a lot of Mercedes talk after Australia, because then we're hitting Europe, and that's when we'll know if they've been able to find a fix.
If rumours are to be believed, they have packed a complete new floor and rear assembly for Australia on the ships.
Well, I say it's rumours, but last time we said it's just rumours, we heard that they had no side pods, and the rumours were right.
Yeah, they were. So, if they are bringing a floor to Australia, could they be right back in the hunt? Sort the porpoise thing. Get your floor, get your stability in your drive back. Give it to Hamilton.
Well,
saying that, I'm just going to point out, Russell and Hamilton both have the same car, and look who's able to drive it and who's not.
But Russell's been used to driving shit for the last 4 years.
That is a very good point, and that's probably a good point to move on. To be fair, let's not lose any new viewers.
Let's talk about a team that's gone from driving shit to something that looks competitive. Because what I want to talk about was Haas and the direction they've taken. Because if the first two races are anything to go by, it's been a masterstroke. I mean, you go from having a car in 2019 that is not competitive. Well, no, you can go back probably to 2018 with, I believe that was a Rich Energy year.
Rich Energy year? You mean Rich Energy month?
Yeah, okay, Rich Energy month.
And then they had to change the livery because Rich didn't pay the bills.
The Rich Energy phenomenon is what it is.
The Rich Energy saga, they started struggling then. Of course, they had a sponsor not paying up, which is going to put you on the back foot for the next year. And they had a terrible 2019, and were lucky to get through the season, in my opinion. 2020, no better. I mean, poor. I mean, I think 2019 they had a couple of good races, or qualifyings, but they had no pace after. 2020 they were bad, and it was always going to be a case of those drivers were out the door. 2021, two rookies, a car that wasn't developed, and also a masterstroke of using all the money they would have put into that year's car into this year's car. And it looks, I mean, first of all, the livery looks great. Second of all, the car itself is just, I mean, Kevin Magnussen's driving the nuts off the thing.
I just feel really bad for Schumacher, because he's getting outdriven by a guy that was sat in bed watching Pornhub on a Thursday, and was in a Formula One car.
Parenthood and endurance racing.
No, right. Sat in bed on a
and
Thursday.
Also had a child with his wife during his time off.
And then he's in an F1 car on a Friday. Basically,
so done.
It's just it baffles me. And Haas are like the team that just can't get rid of their drivers, because they kicked K-Mag and Grosjean out, and then they're all finding their way back into the sport. I'm half expecting them to come back.
Where is Grosjean coming back, mate? Where's Grosjean coming back to?
I was hoping we would see them this week.
Who knows, mate? Who knows?
Yeah, he's doing decent in IndyCar. I don't think he wants to come back.
So are we saying that Haas are the team equivalent of Hulkenberg?
Actually, right. Oh, hold on. No, right. Did anybody...
What do you mean, destined to never finish on the podium?
Oh, Lord.
Yes.
Right.
That too.
I have a
question. I hope
question.
not. I've predicted K-Mag on the podium this year.
Did anybody see the reaction and the tweet from I think it was from one of the stewards on Lewis Hamilton's post? Did anybody see that?
Oh, yeah.
He basically said that he hopes Lewis has a really bad crash and ends up like who's the one that crashed and set on fire? Again,
Grosjean?
Grosjean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He tweeted and said, I hope Lewis Hamilton has a crash and ends up like Grosjean.
Who tweeted this?
Bad is, one of the stewards from Saudi Arabia.
What, past tweet or recent?
Like, on the day. Because of something.
Yeah, to give more backstory to that. Yeah, it was a marshal at this race. He ended up.
Oh, a marshal, not
resigning.
A steward.
Yeah, a marshal.
Sorry.
Oh, okay, stewards.
I meant steward.
I was shocked that it was a steward. A marshal.
A marshal. Sorry.
I mean, marshals.
I meant marshal.
In this country, marshals in this country are exemplary, but those marshals were pretty poor. Well, to me, it was a really bad start to the weekend, wasn't it, in Saudi Arabia? Because with the F2, they had the camera directors all the camera directors miss a crash on lap 2 in the sprint race, and then there was the massive crash at the back of the sprint race, of which it took them around 40 seconds to call the safety car out.
There was really bad TV coverage. I felt like TV angles, camera angles were really poor. the moment they decided to play replays instead of watching on-track action was pretty poor at this race. I know a lot of people have mentioned that.
I think the TV directors need to get used to it being 2022 because last season, if you had one or two overtakes on a lap, you could show replays for 5 laps because nothing else was going to happen. But they showed replays of Ocon and Alonso whilst Ocon and Alonso were still battling.
This is where the F1 needs to introduce, both for this and for when there's multiple battles on track at once, they need to introduce a split screen for viewing.
But they
used to do it.
A split screen,
Sky F1 do it.
Series, every other major racing series has it, and F1 just don't use it.
I'm pretty sure
F1
Sky
do a
F1
weird little one. Sky F1 have their own little split screen that they'll do in like practice and stuff like that, where they'll go, oh, here's the on-track action, then here's Anthony Davis on the Sky pad analysing something from FP2.
Yeah, but the actual F1 coverage from F1 World
the actual F1
doesn't use split screen.
No, they don't. They do sometimes do that stupid little thing where they put, and here's the on-board of a battle that you actually wanted to see rather than this replay on the left-hand side in a tiny little box. And you're squinting at the TV going, I can't see it, but...
Right, let's not bash Sky F1, because until Amazon get
Sky.
it, that's just,
Netflix.
We're not bashing Sky here. We're bashing FOM and the camera directing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry about my
anyway,
my
your
little
original
sidebar.
point. Yeah, your original point was Haas. They're doing very well.
Yes.
Haas are doing it exceptionally well, and that's the thing. I think you've got to look at it now. If you are a team that is struggling, if you are, say, Aston Martin, and the situation doesn't improve, or Williams and the situation doesn't improve, Williams probably being the better candidate for this here because Aston Martin, whilst it's got Lawrence Stroll's money, it also does rely a lot on its sponsors because he wants that team to be self-sufficient. If you're Williams and you've got a juicy pay driver check coming in Nicholas Latifi, do you not put that money into the current year's car and do you focus fully a year ahead? And is that the method that you should be taking?
I think that we won't know until the end of this season if the year out of Haas development was worth it. Oh, obviously, it is looking to be worth it, definitely at the moment. But is that results that they're getting due to underperformances from other teams, other drivers? How are Haas going to fare? How are they going to fare when all of the top teams, or what we thought were going to be top teams, are performing at their best?
Or do you mean by saying that? Do you mean if Mercedes turn up with an engine that works V10 fuel? Because let's not beat around the bush now. You don't go, it's the drag, we're struggling with the drag. When in FP2, I think it was, or FP3, when everyone is sort of getting their low fuel setup just tweaked to see how fast they can go in a straight line, you can't be having at the end of the session, at the bottom of the timesheets, saying all Mercedes cars in the bottom 10.
No,
you can't. You can't have that situation and then going, we don't think it's our engine. It's your engine, and you've lost a load of people to Red Bull powertrains. But now you've got to do what you've done so well in the past: find a way to walk past it, to move past it, and sort something out.
But with the engine cap and the engine freeze, effectively, how do you do that? You're stuck now until 2025.
No, because you can. The thing is, there's been an engine freeze for the last 5 years, it feels like, and yet somehow people always come along with big upgrades.
Yeah, but
there was an engine freeze last season, apparently.
But this was a definite like finality to this generation of engine this year, wasn't it?
What is it? Engine freeze on hardware or engine freeze on the software side? Because I'm sure you can still build the same engine and just upgrade the software to the engine to run different throttle, response, gas, airflow, fuel, different stuff like that. Without getting too technical,
Yeah,
I mean, it can just be a case of just changing your manufacturing technique.
Yeah,
as simple as
yeah,
that.
but I just generally think once Alpine, Mercedes, Alpha, even AlphaTauri, because AlphaTauri should be up there in like, you know, maybe fourth or fifth, if they'd have had better reliability on their car, because they're running near enough the same engine and package as Red Bull are.
Well, that's the thing. Reliability has been a huge thing.
I think
there's only one team not.
Yeah, once they get it ironed out, I think by mid-season, I think after that it's not going to change. Once we figure out.
That's the thing, because I think reliability is huge. Well, we're saying, Mercedes are really struggling. The engine's not good enough. The engine's not broken yet. Every other engine manufacturer has had a failure.
Lewis Hamilton, after the Bahrain race, when he was on his cooldown lap, as he was passing Perez, he went to his engineer, just completely off the topic of the race, and he turns around and goes, "Reliability is really important, isn't it, boys?"
And also, I've just realised I made a bit. I've realised I made a bit of a mistake, because I just realised Ricciardo was one of those 3 cars that retired in one lap from separate incidents, and he's got a Mercedes engine now.
But wasn't that wasn't engine, was it? They decided, wasn't it hydraulic?
He lost drive coming out of the last corner, didn't he?
It was oil pressure. Was it oil pressure?
If it's oil pressure, you'd say that was engine related.
Yeah, that would be engine related.
Because it's a safety feature, isn't it? That's why they keep just shutting off, because the engine pressure is too high or too low, so the car can't run, so it shuts itself off.
It was so bizarre that 3 cars went with similar failures on one lap. I mean, the Alonso.
Do you know what?
Yeah, three with 3 different engines.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to throw this out there, right? Pure speculation, right? No cap. Does anyone know where Nico Rosberg was? Did anyone see a location on him? Did anyone see where he was? Because I feel like he's someone that could have achieved this. The practice he had
going
in
around unscrewing bits on everyone else's cars.
That's it. If you ever see Nico Rosberg with a couple of screws in his hand and a screwdriver, stop him, because some shit's gone down.
The spanner.
I mean, he has to generate that fireball behind him somehow.
I thought I thought that fireball was generated by an Israeli rocket, or is that too soon?
It wasn't Israeli.
Oh,
it was a terrorist attack.
Who was it? It was
a Saudi terrorist group.
No, it wasn't from within Saudi.
I'm sure it was a Saudi. Hang on.
Well, this part of the weekend there was a.
All right, my joke's gone
Hmm?
wrong. We can't include it for legal reasons. Let's move on.
For legal reasons, the Formula One Fans UK podcast does not condone terrorism, like it doesn't condone drop kicking children.
We're also not accusing Israel of anything unjust.
Yeah, no, don't accuse Israel of anything, Tim.
I just think that it was an explosion that went wrong. Someone had a fag when they shouldn't have, and they've had to do this elaborate cover up so that they don't look stupid. I just think it's a fag break that went wrong.
Has anyone heard Verstappen's radio from at the start of FP2? He kept being convinced that something was wrong with his engine, but what he could actually smell was the burning oil refinery. And he was on the outlap, on the very first lap of FP2, he was telling him, he was like, "Look, there's something seriously wrong. I can smell burning. Do I need to get out of the car? And then they were like, "No, we think it's just from the fire."
It wasn't yet. It wasn't Saudi. It was rebels from Yemen.
Yemen, that's the one.
Yemen, yeah, not Israel. Yemen.
I rephrase that. Are we sure his fireball doesn't come from a Yemenese rocket? There we go.
Right.
He got to the punchline, but
Is that a real word?
What, Yemenese?
Yemen?
Yeah. Yemenese is what you call someone from Yemen.
Yemen is a country.
No,
Yeah,
Yemenese.
But is
people of
Yemenese a real word?
Yes, it's someone from Yemen.
Yeah, please don't be offended, people of Yemen.
I'm
if you
Googling
don't
it.
believe Dan, people of Yemen, 2 things: don't be offended for Dan not knowing that you exist, and 2, don't be offended if Tim has used Yemenese and it's wrong, because no one's going to fact check him.
And also, we understand that most people from Yemen probably weren't involved in a terror attack.
No.
So we're not accusing all Yemenis of being terrorists.
Can we just say that what happened was just ridiculous, because it went from F1 going, "Oh, there's a war that I know we said we weren't going to mention the war. Don't mention the war." But it's going on, and they're going, okay, we're not going to race in Russia because of this. And then on the weekend of an F1 race, in plain sight from the onboard cameras, there is a terrorist attack, and F1 goes, that looks good to me, let's carry on.
It makes no sense.
Money.
It's money,
Cash is
and
king.
you could tell the drivers. I reckon that race would not have gone ahead if George Russell wasn't the only director of the GPDA there. If Alex Wurz or Sebastian Vettel were there, that race doesn't go ahead, in my opinion.
Vettel was there. Yeah, it wouldn't go on.
Or would it have been a situation a la 2005 where you get some teams putting their cars in and some teams staying out?
No, that would have been a unanimous decision. It's...
I don't know, my man. There's teams there that had Visit Saudi pasted all over their cars.
Yeah,
Visit Saudi's
I
fine,
think,
just don't visit Aramco.
yeah, let's not forget that Haas had a Russian flag plastered all over their car. Didn't stop them taking it off, did it, overnight?
Well, it did, Tom. They did take it off. But you can't take it off if you're running a race in that country that weekend with all of your sponsors there.
They did. They took it off. It's just.
Yeah, they took it off in a pre-season test where there was no coverage.
Yeah, just rip it all. There's all photos about it. Everyone's looking at the photos.
I'm still waiting for the Huskies chocolate to appear on Magnussen's car.
I'm still waiting for Lego to appear on Magnussen's car.
That would be cool. The Lego F1 car.
How about a chocolate Lego F1 car? There you go. Someone patent that, and I bet you Chris fucking buys it and builds it.
Yeah, somewhere right now, Chris is having a crisis.
Hi,
Chris, by the way.
Lego F1 car, 200 quid. Chris will buy it. Done.
How
I'll
does
tell you
chocolate Lego even work? Do you have to have like the chocolate rock hard and then place it together and then you eat it when it's soft?
I think you have to build it in the fridge.
Why are we talking about
Why are
chocolate
you asking
Lego?
me? Wait, I'm not being funny.
I don't know, Danny. Should we talk about something else, Danny?
No. Listen, right, Danny, shut up, okay?
I have plenty of F1 stuff to talk
Let's just. Why did you ask me how we would build a chocolate Lego car? Like I've done hundreds.
Clearly, with hundreds and thousands.
That I'll give you a little clap for that. That was a good joke. Right. Let's move on to some F1 related topic because Danny's got 2 hours worth of research.
Yeah.
And whilst Danny
about
gets
a 10
through,
minute
and whilst
segment.
Danny reads out his research, the rest will be brainstorming how we can make this chocolate Lego F1 car.
I'm gonna buy a Lego mold, a Lego brick mold, and I'm gonna start molding chocolate. And in 2026, when I've got enough bricks, we can build a Lego car.
Yeah, that's not going to work. By the time it's 2026, global warming will make chocolate obsolete and will just be liquid.
We're running a competition, and if you want to enter the competition, you've got to build a chocolate Lego car.
Shall we do that? No, not stomp on children's sandcastles.
You are correct.
Although
You have to get the molds. If you get the Lego molds and build a general shape of a car, you can actually go back and carve the chocolate out into an F1 car. But that's a lot of chocolate.
Yeah,
Because
but
there's a lot of detail. Like, how detailed do you want to get?
But it depends what scale we want to take this to. Chocolate's cheaper than carbon fibre. Yeah. All right, so Danny, you have a topic to discuss.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's
how to make an F1 car out of licorice?
No, it's how does Nicholas Latifi still have an F1 drive?
Oh, beautiful.
You guys laugh so hard, it froze my computer.
Sorry, Dan, you got to say that again because I don't think anyone got that. Over the there has been the American has frozen.
We've laughed so much that it's actually shaken the connection between the UK and the US.
No, I can tell you exactly what it is. We haven't given this little kid enough attention.
Oh,
we
and
threatened
Dan
to
has
drop
got
kick
as
her out
well.
a window that she's cut the internet cable.
What, his daughter?
Yeah.
Anyway, Danny is back. Danny, when you last were here, you made us all laugh by saying something so much that we broke the internet.
You literally did.
So Danny, would you like to reintroduce your subject?
Yeah, definitely. Well, my subject is going to be on paid drivers, and we are lucky to have a couple on our grid this year. Well, I won't say lucky. The teams are lucky to have some of the paid drivers that they have. So I just want to go really quick on what a paid driver is. A paid driver is a driver for a team that instead of being paid by the owner of the team, he brings his own money and practically almost drives for free, either through a personal sponsorship or family funding to finance the team's operations. A great example.
Or government funding.
Yeah, or government funding. In the case of, Pastor Maldonado with the PDVSA, Rio Harianto and Pertamina. Yep, that's right. And in a way, Mazepin with his Eurocali sponsorship that they have. But yeah, I just wanted to get into the history of it a little bit, and maybe extend that into our next podcast on some of our drivers that we have right now.
Shall we focus on the drivers right now?
Well, let's talk about the drivers from today then. Well, the big one, the rookie for this year is Guan Yu Zhou. Zhou Guan Yu. Yeah. So as you know, he is the first Chinese F1 driver on the grid. He's doing a great job. Had a great first race. Scored points in his first race. It's fantastic. But do we know where his money's coming from? He is essentially a paid driver, and that's why we didn't see Antonio Giovinazzi this year. So Zhou Guan Yu, his family owns. What's wrong, Reese?
China.
Well, family owned 23 companies in China, all under different names listed. And I kind of got into a little rabbit hole on this one as well. But the famous one is the Guangzhou Holdings that have sponsored him throughout his career. And the deal has been rumored to be $30 million between him and Alfa Romeo. So Alfa Romeo Sauber is receiving the sponsorship, is receiving this money from the companies pretty much of Guan Yu Zhou. But the big debate with him was, is he worthy of being an F1 driver, right? And then that's what a lot of these paid drivers get. Like, are you worthy enough to be a paid driver, or are you just here because you have the money? And that's a dilemma that teams face.
Well, for me, Zhou Guan Yu is one of those few paid drivers that has earned his place in Formula
Absolutely.
One. He's done the junior circuit. And if you go through the junior circuit, you have that, you've almost earned your place, because Zhou Guan Yu has been competitive in Formula 2. It's not like he was the sixth best driver in Formula 2 and Daddy bought him a drive. It was a case of, no, he was genuinely fighting for the championship. And the other paid drivers that have gone and won the championship in Formula 2 or GP2, the most notable one is Pastor Maldonado. And whilst we all joke about Maldonado and how much he crashed, he also won a race and he also scored regular points when he had the car beneath him. He was worthy of his...
He's worthy of his drive, for sure.
He was worthy of his point. He's worthy of his space in F1.
Another, a couple more paid drivers that have won championships. Notable paid drivers are Lance Stroll, who won F3. We also
Niki Lauda
also won in the minor series. Jolyon Palmer won GP2 when he is classified as a paid driver.
Yeah, but he is a better presenter than he is a driver. No offense to Jolyon.
He's a very, very good presenter.
If you have F1 TV, he's one of the commentators for the race, and he's pretty good.
He's been sorry, just on that, he was on the BBC radio coverages for the last few years and doing their podcast every week, and it's a good listen, the checker flag. Not promoting other podcasts on this show.
I like his column. I read his column.
He's very, very, very good pundit. Moving on. Let's talk about a paid driver who wasn't a good pundit, and Karun Chandler.
Hold on.
I want to wind down.
Wait. I hate Karun Chandok. You cannot be classed an F1 paid driver if you do 4 races. That's not...
11.
Yeah. He made it to
It was
11.
11 races. 11 races for HRT and Lotus, or Team Lotus.
He's basically the Nikita Mazepin of the late 90s. Is just no.
Well, he wasn't though. He wasn't in the late 90s. He was the early 2010s. That's how long ago it was that feels like the 90s. But it was the early 2010s because it was Team Lotus and HRT
was
Cosworth.
2011.
Just every time I see that graphic under his name,
10
I
or
just get
2011,
angry.
one of the two.
2010, I think they came with two other teams.
Yeah.
Virgin F1 Racing.
Yeah, Virgin
Who
and
become Manor.
and Caterham,
Caterham.
who became
Caterham,
Team
wasn't it?
Lotus.
Team Lotus who became Caterham.
Yeah, Caterham, who became Team Lotus. Because they were, because Chanduk raced for HRT, who went bust, and then raced for Lotus, who really shouldn't have been allowed to race because it wasn't exactly like they had the money either.
They didn't have the money.
No, I mean, it was the guy, they were owned
You
by
want
the guy
VJ
who owned
Malia?
QPR.
No, that's
No,
Force
VJ
India.
Malia was
VJ
Force
Malia?
India.
Oh, Tony Fernandez.
Tony Fernandez.
Tony Fernandez.
Malaysia.
Fernandez.
Right?
Yes.
Force India guy was dodgy from the get-go.
Man, but he jumped into a good situation, though.
It was...
Jumping into Force India at the
Dude.
time. They scored the first pole in 2009.
Well, no, he took Force India from wherever they were at the bottom,
Dead bottom.
and he bought them. I mean, that 2009 is what made me say what I'm saying about Haas right now and how they could have jumped up and become competitive again. Because Force India have always been, since 2009, relatively competitive. Where were they before that? They were,
And they were before
They
that.
were
They were Midland F1. That's a throwback for you.
they were Midland.
Mate, how far
were
have we gone back to
Spiker.
get
They
Midland
were-
F1?
Only
the
the thing is, Danny.
That's the
Dan,
thing.
only 2007.
Really?
Not as old as you think.
No, 2007 was Spiker.
Was it 2008? No, 2007 was
Was
Midland.
Force India.
2007 was Spiker because that was Marcus
Might be
Winkelhock year.
2006.
Can't beat
then,
the Winkle Rock.
2006.
Isn't that literally their whole claim to fame? They led a lap or so when it was raining in a spiker with Winkelhock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was
That's
Spiker's
it.
claim to fame. But then you got to remember that Force India, like they didn't come in from Spiker and just be immediately competitive. They struggled at the back. I think we all remember the tears in 2000. Was it 2008 where they had Sutil was in like 5th place and then he got run into by Raikkonen who lost control out of the tunnel. So I mean, money being poured into F1, like crazy amounts of money being poured into F1, can be used wisely, but then it can also be given to Nicholas Latifi, who just, crashes into walls and ruins
Yeah, but
people's races.
I think he misunderstands his job. I think he works at like Nissan and he's the crash test dummy because there's no way that this bloke thinks he's employed as an F1 driver.
Well, it was that he said he came on the radio after the world saw him crash and said, "Well, I don't know what happened there," and the world was like, "You ran out of talent."
That's it.
It was so.
Do you know what's
bad?
Do you know what is a bit frustrating about Latifi specifically as well? There was a couple of times in the middle of last summer when he actually looked like a racing driver. And you thought, oh, maybe there is a bit of a
he
driver
might be
in there.
alright.
Maybe there is someone who can drag a race performance out of a car, even if he doesn't have the one lap pace. And then it's just gone.
And then there's a wall, and then it's over.
Yeah, then there are tracks with no runoff.
Didn't we say last year something along the lines of like, when your money's long but your talent's short? That is Nicholas Latifi.
All my notes.
Yeah,
all my notes under Nicholas Latifi, because I have him listed as pay driver. I just put in crashes into walls. I absolutely did no research on where he got his money from. I'm just like, man, he just crashes into walls.
Nicholas Latifi in a wall in the Middle East. Name a more iconic duo. I'll wait.
Bet365 and Nicholas Latifi. What? Don't look at me with that face. Right.
Well, I'm curious to see how that's a duo.
Because what happens if, like, say, 500 people put on Bet365 for there to be two red flags or 2 safety cars, and they just bow Latifi up, put it in a wall, number 3, no one gets paid. No? it's basically match fixing for F1. He just gets a little buzz on the Apple Watch, has a little look, bang, it's done.
All these people had Sergio Perez to win. We think we might be out to cash it. Nicholas, you know what to do. Pretty much, Nicholas Latifi is to betting companies what Nelson Piquet Jr. is to Fernando Alonso.
Mate.
And for the record out there, for who left to talk about Hamilton and Massa that year, that was the race that screwed Massa's championship in 2008.
It was.
Singapore.
I'm not going to lie to you, Danny. It's still
because he came in under that
subject.
safety car and he lost his fuel hose, didn't he? Yeah, under that safety car.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he rushed out. He lost the safety. He lost the fuel hose.
On the subject of Latifi, his dad nearly bought Williams before Darrington Capital did. Could you imagine if we were having to face another 5 to 6 years of Latifi? Guaranteed.
It's the same as us having Stroll.
I think.
Oh God.
It's
At
the
least,
same.
Well, that's why they're petted by the team.
At least Lance Stroll's got a few podiums and a couple of front row starts. What has Latifi got for his effort?
Whiplash.
Yeah, he's got a great claim with his insurance company, isn't he?
Have you been injured in an accident at work that was entirely your fault?
Do you forget where the racetrack ends and the war starts?
If so, you may be entitled to compensation. Cool. Dorian Capital. Today.
Other insurance brokers are available.
Have you got anything about Stroll on there, Danny?
Yeah. Well, he did win F3, and he is pretty much with his dad still in Formula One. He can thank his dad. His dad purchasing the Racing Point team into present day Aston Martin. But yeah, I would like to say he is one of the most accomplished pay drivers that we have seen. There've been some absolute dreadful Delatraz, Lavaggi, Alex Young. We've gone to those depths, but Lance Stroll.
Who is the worst paid driver from this century?
This century, the worst one.
Mazepin.
I have. Well, look, Latifi has. No, we got to go way back. If say the worst, a couple of highlights I have here is Ricky Van Opel drove in 73, 74. Family funded. His family founded the Opel factory.
That's not the 21st century. That is a hell of a name.
The past century, you said. In this present day century, let's go Alex Young.
I was literally about to shout Alex Young.
Yeah.
Is Alex Young worse than Roberto Merri?
Yes. Yes. Merri was an accomplished driver before he got into Formula One, and he went into a team with another pay driver, Will Stevens.
Hey, he nearly got a point. Okay?
Nearly, but
he was one retirement away in that British Grand Prix from getting a point.
But that team was so bad. The 2015 Manor team was so bad. They did not have equal cars. I think
it was 2016 Manor. That was.
Because he also drove 2016. But I'm talking about when he was.
He didn't race 2015 because that was when they had Max Chilton and Yul Bianchi, and they only raced one car for the remaining races.
You said about pay drivers.
2014 was Bianchi. He crashed in Japan.
I'm sure it was 2015.
No, 2015 was Stevens with Merri.
Hang on, I'm going to do a Google.
Okay.
While Reese is
while
Reese is googling, can I shout Gaston Massacane as a fucking awful pay driver?
Wow.
From this century.
Wow.
That's a crazy name.
Gaston Massacane. He drove 3 or 4 races right at the start of the century. Was it for Prost?
Well, you can go to the 90s. If you looked into early 90s,
my God,
91, 92, around that. Yeah.
Danny, you were right. Yeah, 2014 was
Bianchi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even
I was.
Will Stevens drove for Caterham.
I was sure it's anything.
2014. No, in the last race, Abu Dhabi, he paid $500,000 for that.
Oh, you're right. He did. What? How do you know?
Well, I've researched that one.
Narain Carter Cayenne.
Yeah.
Narain Carter Cayenne, bloody hell.
That was a bad pay driver.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm on episode of Bring Back V10s.
But Alex Yoong was Alonso's first teammate in Minardi. Money came from a Malaysian commercial gambling company.
Wasn't it? I'm trying to think who the name of Kazuki Nakajima's dad.
Man.
Hataro Nakajima. I'm trying to think what his name was, but he was a pay driver because he was pretty much, he wasn't put in as a pay driver. He was there because of the sponsorship he would bring to,
which was Honda at the time.
These
87, teams. He brought Honda to the Lotus Campbell team.
Yeah, he bought Honda. I think.
But we have seen
find it.
There have been manufacturers that do back up drivers, but that's not classified as a pay driver. Hamilton was sponsored by McLaren through his junior career. Vettel had Red Bull. Even Michael Schumacher was in the Mercedes junior program, and that first seat at the Jordan 1-on-1 was paid by Mercedes, $150,000 actually for that one appearance.
You say, but would you not say this describes a pay driver? He didn't actually race in
Who's this?
He had one race in. We're talking about Satoru Nakajima. Born in 1953, started his career karting in 1970 before switching to touring cars 3 years later. Outside of Japan, he raced in Australian touring cars, the Macau Grand Prix, and one round of European F3, where he was involved in a spectacular opening lap crash. You might have actually seen that crash. It was the one when he was literally backflipped. It was spectacular. He made his debut in 1987, having a career which lasted 5 seasons. He was the first person from Japan to score a point in Formula One. But he famously denied Ayrton Senna a win in the 1990 Brazilian Grand Prix when he took off Senna's front wing whilst being lapped.
Yeah.
I think Nakajima was a Honda driver. I think he was sponsored by Honda, if I'm pretty sure about that.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look into that because...
Yeah, but that's what I mean. If you're not there because you're driving talent, you're there because you are
Yeah,
backed.
but as Danny's just said,
are you
Hamilton was backed by Mercedes from a young age. Oh, sorry, McLaren from a young age, wasn't he? Vettel was backed by Red Bull from a young age. There's a difference between private sponsorship.
No, but
Sergio Perez. Sergio Perez is a paid driver.
That's not a paid driver. That's just
Sergio. I was going to say, where do you stand? Perez
a
was
youth
Perez
development type.
Yeah,
thing,
which is why.
I put that down more as driver academy. Otherwise, you're saying George Russell's a paid driver.
To me, the definition of paid driver is a company or some form of entity is paying for you to be there and to drive.
Yeah, but in my opinion, that would be a company that's not related to motorsport.
Yes, Tim.
Oh, okay. I would say that is a company
there,
that's not related to motorsport. Otherwise, to class as that.
Well, no, because
that's a good one.
Because then, if you're talking about current pay drivers, then you're classing Tsunoda as one, sponsored by Honda.
I guess that's fair.
He had a very good race
a pay driver.
in Bahrain, and he drove very, very well. Just because he doesn't have the one lap pace.
Okay, right. Apparently, we don't know what wait means because everyone keeps talking. Right. Who pays Tsunoda's wage? Then is he a paid driver if they pay him?
Yeah, he's not a paid driver.
Well, no, because I think they all take Lance Stroll still takes a salary.
Still takes a salary, but that salary is backed by his sponsorship.
Right. So basically, what we're saying is, if a company or entity is paying for you to be there, and you wouldn't be there without that money, you're a paid driver. Yeah. That's sum up.
Correct.
Yeah. Then we are on the same page then.
Yeah.
Because I don't think driver development programs like Red Bull, McLaren at the time, Mercedes, all that sort of stuff. Obviously, they're basically just employees.
Yeah.
That eventually get a chance to step up, and if you don't step up well enough, you end up in a sister team. Gasly will attest to that.
Well, another surprise I had was Fangio. Argentinian government funded his F1 career. I thought that was surprising.
Isn't Checo heavily backed by some
Yep.
some
Carlos
Mexican
Slim.
company?
Mexican government,
Telmex.
mate.
No.
He's Telmex.
Yeah.
Carlos Slim, who's a billionaire, one of the richest people in the world. He was also behind Gutierrez's career as well. Because I didn't find too much information on Gutierrez. But yeah,
Danny,
he's been sponsoring Perez since the beginning.
I have a fact for you to find out, right? Can you find out who sponsored Maldonado's noses for his car? Because there's got to have been a backer with big money.
Do you mean just the badge on? Do you just mean the badge on the front of the nose?
Yeah. Who sponsored to have all those noses built?
Well, he did have the Venezuelan state gas-owned, whatever, money coming in from the Venezuelan government.
That's not shady at all, is
People
it?
were going. No, while the people were going hungry, Maldonado got a new nose.
That's it.
Is it the PDVSA or whatever it is? Maldonado.
It means it's a Spanish. It says gasmen from Venezuela. Pretty much, Patroleros de Venezuela.
Yeah.
South America.
So just looking at a picture of an old Maldonado car, that badge was literally the second badge up the nose. So it will never get destroyed, but you'd always see it after the crash.
It's also on his rear spoiler as well.
Yeah.
So now we've all able to agree on what a pay driver is. It's someone without very much talent who crashes quite a bit. Also, just while we talk about crashes, we do want to quickly say, well, we're very glad that Mick Schumacher's okay, because that was one heck of a crash. I mean, the car was ripped in two. I mean, there's two times I can think of that happening. One being, of course, the Grosjean incident where the car's ripped in two, and the other one was Brendan Hartley in free practice.
Yeah, it's one of them things, them situations that you hate to see, and I think, like, it shows how far we've come in the F1 technical regulations and all that sort of stuff with the development of how the car disintegrated and was a pile of shit at the end, but the driver survived. And I think that is a sign of the car doing its job.
He compares it to how the car split in half for the Grosjean accident. This time, no fuel came out, and that's the same team's car. So yes, there was oil and.
But that wasn't on the team though. I mean, that was literally metal piercing car, ripping car in half, puncturing a bag that was never designed to be exposed.
And I was going to say,
way.
It was also during qualifying, so they were running really low fuel, next to no fuel. So that was a factor as well.
I mean, you got to credit the safety of Formula One there, but you've also got to say the reason that the track gave of we didn't have a barrier there because we didn't think that it was somewhere where anyone would crash is ridiculous, because there was a crash there in Formula 2, there was a crash there in F1 qualifying, and there were nearly two more crashes if it wasn't for the quick reactions of both Gasly and Ocon. Yeah, ridiculously good reactions. And while we talk about things that are ridiculously good, before we finish, we will talk about our show sponsor. If you ever need any 3D printed track wall art, you can go to apextracks.com. And also on apextracks.com, you can see the brilliant charity they support as well. And honestly, just let's say, please do check them out. Because, like I said, they do huge things to this podcast for this group at Apex Tracks, and they do great charity stuff as well. So head to apextracks.com. That's apextraxs.com. And with that, guys, we'll wrap it up. If you've liked what you've heard today, then please do follow the link in our bio, because we can connect you in so many more ways. We've got Discord, we've got fantasy competitions, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual social stuff. And if you didn't like what you heard
it's Chris's
today,
fault.
Don't follow
Just
that
blame Chris.
link.
It's Chris's fault.
Blame Chris.
Because
Yeah,
he
blame
sat,
Chris, because
he
Chris,
sat
yeah.
in his boxer shorts doing his Lego car. He's not interested in us.
Pretty much, you have two options here. You can either like the podcast, of which we will find a way of supplying you with a Lego Formula One car made of chocolate. And if you don't like it, then no chocolate for you, or you're lactose intolerant, one of the two. It's a strange niche to attack at the end of a podcast, isn't it? A lactose intolerant.
Well, they're probably the only base we haven't attacked in the podcast. Why not? Next week, watch out, vegans. We're coming for you.
Watch out, Lewis Hamilton. I'm going to feed Roscoe a steak.
Yes, Australia's next.
We're going back, and they've redesigned the track.
Yes, we have a redesigned Australia. Hopefully, it will be better. And join us next time when we redesign veganism. Until next time. Oh God! Sometimes I just need to stop talking.
No more
Someone
vegans.
stop me. Until next time.
No, we love the vegans.
Thank you
We
very
love
much.
the vegans. No more vegan talk.
We love vegans. We love people who are lactose intolerant. And
we also love Saudi officials at this point.
Whoa. Alright, boys. It's been a great podcast. Thanks for seeing you. I don't need that smoke. Here. I don't need the smoke from the Yemens. I'm nothing to do with these people. I don't know them. This is the first time I've seen them. I love you. I'm out. I'm done. Goodbye, guys. I'm done. That's it.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.